Okay, I think we can start. So welcome everyone to this is the September OpenEdX meetup. My apologies for people last week that we had some technical issues and we couldn't um, run the meetup last week, but hopefully everyone can join today. And today's session is going to be recorded, so then if someone couldn't make it today, we'll be able to share the session to everyone interested in today's session, right? Before we start, so I'm Esteban Echeverri, co-founder of Olasnio, a service provider for OpenEdX, and also a member of the marketing working group, and along with Eden Hood-Maya, community manager from Maxim Collaborative, and Nicole Kessler from Abstract Technology, another service provider. We organize these monthly meetups. So I want to welcome you again. Today we will have one presentation before we dig into this first presentation. Let me share with you that the second presentation that was scheduled for the previous week is going to take place in the November meetup, right? The sandbox presentation by Stefania from Abstract. So today we will have only one presentation that is going to showcase a very important project from Spanish universities, right? So the speakers will be Ignacio Despujol, Open edX TOC member and MOOC coordinator at the Universitat Politècnica de València, and Juan Camilo Montoya, co-founder of eduNEXT, and they will be presenting the results of these projects and the UniDigital project founded by Spain's Ministry of Universities. And well, this is going to be the main presentation today. After the presentation, there will be a Q&A session. Just feel free to add your questions while presenters are speaking on the room chat. And after the presentation, we will run a Q&A session to address the questions that you might have, right? So I think we're all set. Welcome, Nacho. Juan, if you're going to present, please join the carpet area so that you have the orange megaphone, so that everyone can hear you, okay? With your avatar.
All right. Hello. Good afternoon. We'll be presenting the results of a project that has been undertaken by a consortium of Spanish universities. Can you hear me properly? Is it fine?
Yes.
All right. So I'll continue. I'm going to start giving a little bit of context about the project, and then Juan and me will be presenting the results of the project. Juan, can you switch to the next slide? All right. So I'll start by telling you that UniDigital, it's a project with European funds that has been undertaken by the Spanish government. So the Spanish universities made joint projects to improve their educational technology. And one of these projects was undertaken by all the public universities in the Madrid region and Universitat Politècnica de València. Valencia, that's where I'm from. And we devoted some money to improve the on-campus capabilities of OpenEdX. The next slide. Here you have the universities. That is Universidad Autónoma de Madrid, Universidad Politécnica de Madrid, Universidad Complutense de Madrid, Universidad Rey Juan Carlos, and Universidad de Alcalá, and my university. Thank you, Juan. Sorry. So we have spent €500,000 from this fund of the Next Generation EU in the improvement of the OpenEdX, so it can be better used on campus. We made a public tender and eduNEXT won it. So next slide. It was stated that there were going to be 9,000 100,000 development hours. It was planned in 2022, but the public tender was a little bit delayed, so we started in 2023. That it was, as I said, eduNEXT won the tender, and we have executed it until a couple of months. In fact, we are still closing the documentation and all this part of the project. Go on. No, next, former one. That's one. There were 17 work packages that you can see here. We don't have too much time, but we went through all the requirements of the different universities, and we compared what we have in Moodle and in Sakai, and we wanted to improve the analytics, so we had better global analytics for the whole platform, but also better target analytics for one teacher or one person. We wanted to have, we will be commenting all of them, but you can see here that are very different things. Some of them are improvements of a component, and other ones are bigger improvements. In fact, we grouped these 17 different things in bigger groups that Juan is gonna comment now.
Oh, Juan, you are muted, Juan.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Ignacio, and good morning, everybody. Yes, he was saying we're going to present today the results of this project, of this work, and the presentation today is going to be similar to the project in the fact that it's a lot of scope to cover and the time is very, very constrained. But I just should say that as providers, as OpenEdX consultants, we were very excited and thrilled to be part of this project because it felt like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to go and make interventions and changes to the platform in many, very different areas. So what we're going to present today is some of the results of that work. As Ignacio said, there were 17 work packages, but for the purpose of this talk, we are going to organize it in 9 different groups, which you see related here. We are not going to cover every detail of the things that were created because it's actually too much, but the most important ones, and we'll give you the cues so that you can research them further if you're interested in particular areas. So one of the things we prepared as part of this presentation and also as a continuation of the project is this website you see listed here, edunext.co//UniDigital. This is a landing page that will contain all the information of all the different tools, and you can navigate there and find demos and find the links to the different resources of documentation if desired. So please keep this link in mind. And also, I should say that the idea of the project was that most of the things that were developed landed in the master version of the platform, and a lot of those things did land, particularly in the Redwood release. Starting from the Redwood release, many of the features and changes and improvements that were developed landed there, but some did not because they were more fitted for extensions. So we're going to talk a lot today about those extensions, those plugins, those exploits that are, of course, open source and available for everyone to use, and are not part of the Redwood release, but are fully compatible. So let's dive in. One of the big pieces of work was about real-time analytics. The project wanted to incorporate this capability into OpenEdX back in 2022. It was really missing, and the idea was to have global and individual analytics. So as you probably know, there was the development of the aspects solution for OpenEdX, and this project contributed heavily to that. We started from the very beginning of the project articulating efforts with the other players that were working with aspects, and we delivered a lot of the value that became ultimately aspects V0 and V1. So that is now a reality. There is this component that allows you to have real-time analytics in different ways. And on top of what you get out of the official aspects, the UniDigital project also produced a set of customized dashboards that were more aligned with the specific needs of the on-campus courses. So that is up there also for people to use if they find them useful. And that includes one dashboard that measures the likelihood of a learner to fail on a course. So that is important because it allows you to trigger some prevention mechanisms to help learners along the way before they actually run into the issues. So we're not going to spend too much time in aspects, although it was a very important part of the project, just because there has been other spaces, other scenarios, other webinars in which aspects has been covered in more detail. We're going to focus our time today for the other things. So let's go to the second category package. It's about LMS and Studio interfaces. So for example, for the LMS, there were some important contributions for the learner dashboard experience to allow learners to filter courses easily and be able to search courses. That capability wasn't there, and now it's available as part of the Redwood release. And for the Studio experience, there was also some improvements in the Studio homepage, also as it related to filtering and searching the different courses. And inside the actual interface for building course content, there were some improvements and contributions regarding the usage of iframes, like how to insert an iframe into a text component. It used to be the case that you had to go to the HTML code and be knowledgeable about how to insert your iframe. Now you have a visual interface that authors can use for inserting iframes. And also there was a piece about being able to have sections of your content that are not displayed in the table of contents of the course, because sometimes you want to have that flexibility of having sections that learners can actually access if they have the right link, but they're not displayed in the table of contents of the course, in the course outline. That is useful for different use cases, and we incorporated that capability. Right, let's move on to the third package. I should have mentioned this at the beginning. We're trying to go from the more general things that apply to across all the platform, and then drill down into the more specific things that regard specific things that you can do inside your course. So the first couple of things I mentioned were very much platform level modifications, and we're going to dive into some more course level things. So for example, there was this package about the capability of issuing digital credentials with the European learning model. As you probably are aware, digital credentials are evolving and are being incorporated. This capability is being incorporated in different ways. So the European university system has a strategy and a data model basically they're using to try to articulate all their institutions around it. And it requires currently that every time a learner passes a course, a digital file is produced and then signed by the university signature system or certification system. So what we did here was creating a plugin that allows the platform to generate this file. So once the learner finishes the course, the administrators of the platform or the course instructors can download this particular file with the European learning model standard in order to sign it and then upload it to whatever digital credentials platform they are using in that system. This is useful, and course authors or administrators can do it individually per student, or they can download it in bulk. After the course finishes, they can download a full zip file with all the files, with all the individual digital credential files, so that they can sign them and upload them to their platform. Now, for the next package, we're going to talk about the open response assessment. This was a very important point of interest for the project when it was structured, and there were a lot of incremental changes that we worked on and tried to do into the ORA repository. Some of them, not all of them, but some of them landed in the official repositories in the Redwood release. So, for example, you now have capabilities that make it easier for instructors to find the submissions of specific learners, or they can have new configurations for the grading system, so they can decide how they want for example, the assessments of the peer assessments to be graded as part of the ORA exercise. Or you can configure the platform so that learners can reset their submissions, after the submission and before the submission is graded, a learner can decide that they want to resubmit, so they can just simply reset and resubmit, saving everyone's administrative work time, basically. And the big piece in this package, let's say, was an integration with Turnitin. So we worked a lot on this specific integration, which was very challenging because of the way that the open response assessment component was built and is managed. But we were able to make it into a plugin. So there is now a plugin, an open source plugin you can use that integrates Turnitin, the anti-plagiarism tool of choice. Like many universities use this tool for assessing similarities between a student's paper submission against like sources and the internet and the other students' submissions, so that they can see if the same paper is being submitted by two students and things like that. So what happens now with this plugin is that whenever the student submits their work through an Aura component that is configured with this, the submission is also sent automatically to Turnitin, and a similarity report is generated with Turnitin, with the Turnitin software, and this report becomes available for authors. In this screen that you're seeing here, becomes available for instructors to use as part of their assessment and grading in the open source assessment. So this is very interesting, and hopefully it's the first step of an ongoing effort to incorporate these kinds of tools into open responses. Next, there is a big package that we have here in green that talks about additional content components. So different X blocks, different pieces of basically X blocks that you can incorporate into your courses from now on. So we're going to dive a little in all of them. So the first one was actually a contribution to an existing X block by Edley that was about H5P. So the project contributed some time. Instead of trying to create a new solution or building something in parallel or forking the solution that they had and add the improvements that the initiative needed, we contributed those within the spirit of the open source community and strengthening our ties. We contributed those changes to the official like Edley based H5PX block that revolves around the graded configuration. It's more functional now. It's able now to handle grades in a better way, and it also allows for instructors to see the content of the H5P component from the studio view, so they don't have to go to the LMS view. They can now view it from studio. Also, in this model of contributing to an existing component, there was the feedback X block, but the project wanted and needed some changes to that so that it was more aligned with the kind of use cases that you get in on-campus settings. For example, it allows you to have like a rating system in which each learner can rate the content of a particular unit with 1 or 5 stars and then add an open comment. And we added the capability for those comments to be aggregated in the instructor dashboard. So now instructors get this tab that says course feedback, and it's aggregated and sorted by section, subsection, and unit, so that you can easily see all of the open comments you got and the average rating that this particular component is getting. So this is quite useful for ensuring the quality of your course iteratively. Right, so next component is an X block that allows to have like images gallery. This you're going to be seeing some videos in the shared screen that show how the component is configured and how it works. But basically in this case, it allows you to just really easily upload, drag and drop a number of images into a component in your course, and those images are displayed in the traditional fashion of an image gallery. So it's a carousel that can automatically slide to the right and show you the images, each image every few seconds. And students can do like full screen and they can zoom on the images, or you can configure it not to be like autoplay, but instead have the learner swipe each of the images as they see fit. So this is a simple but very useful component that saves authors a lot of time in creating this kind of learning experience, because they don't need any coding experience, just drag and drop in your images, and the system takes care of all the sizing adjustments and all the fine-tuned details to make the experience smooth. In all of these components, you will find the links to the open source Xblocks and plugins. And also, I should mention those links are also in the website I mentioned at the beginning, eduNEXT.co/UniDigital. And I should also mention that all of those components are also listed in the official OpenEdX extensions directory that you can find in the OpenEdX website. So I'm going to hand it over to Ignacio to cover the next few components.
So the first one is a very simple one. It's a gradable mind maps. In this case, the component lets the teacher, the instructor, to add a mind map to the content, but also it lets the instructor to create an activity that accepts mind maps from the students and lets the instructor grade them. So you have both the possibility to add mind maps and the possibility to let the students create their own mind maps and to grade them. Next one, please. This is something that is lacking in OpenEdX and that is very powerful in, let's say, Sakai or Moodle. That is a file manager. We weren't able to create a file manager from the scratch due to the way that files are stored in OpenEdX. But what eduNEXT did is adapt a JavaScript library that lets you add a component in the course where you can manage the different files and create folders and assign publishing dates. So you can publish one file from one day to other date and move all the content between filers in what you see is what you get fashion. So this tied to the possibility that Juan has commented of separating something from the learning sequence lets you create a file tab at the top of the course where the instructor can first they have to upload the files into the standard file system, but then they can share them with these folders and these dates and everything like we have in our regular LMS camp tools. Next one, please.
Just a quick note, they can also upload them from here, so they don't have to go to the other place and upload them, they can upload it directly.
They can sorry. Next one, Lime Survey. Lime Survey, for those of you that don't know about it, it's a very, very powerful open source survey system. It's the one that we use at the Polytechnic University of Valencia, and it has a lot of logic behind. It lets you make very powerful surveys, but the thing is that it wasn't as the other systems. It was integrated with OpenEdX, so you couldn't get a personal answer from a student. The first thing that we have done is to link the survey with the anonymous user ID of OpenEdX, so you can, once the student enters the course and has an embedded survey and starts the survey, and a user is created in Lime Survey, so this survey is linked to the student, and next time that when they enter in OpenEdX, they will have the same answer, everything. And also, what they have done is create a tutor plugin, so you can install an instance of Lime Survey linked to OpenEdX, and from the instructor dashboard, the instructors can manage it and create surveys linked to the course. So it's a very powerful tool because it has lots of options. It has the possibility to add logic, and it's very, very powerful survey system. Is there something that I have forgotten, Juan? So we can go next.
Oh, I think you mentioned the plugin, which is important if you want to have Lime Survey hosted in the same environment that you're hosting your tutor, you can do that with the plugin.
With a tutor plugin.
And the fact that you get like direct access to the survey, Lime Survey administrative console from within the OpenEdX.
Here you can see it in the instructor dashboard. Yeah. Then we have created a grading X block that lets you grade new things. For example, it lets you add an extemporaneous grading, so the student, they don't see that there is an extra time, but the teacher can configure an extra time for each exam. So once the due date is arrived, a new due date appears, and this, if the student sends something, it's marked as a late submission. So the teacher can decide what to do with that. So it's something that is created in a way that the students don't see that there is extra time until it reaches the due date, and then they get this extra time to send their so the teacher doesn't have to be changing the due date if someone asks for something, or if they want to give some extra time. So next one, in the same X block we have completion grading. So you can give a grade by a number of units completed, or by a percentage. It can be a all or nothing, or a percentage one. So you can integrate in the grading of the course the completion of that now you have a system that in the progress page you get how much of the course you have completed, but is not incorporated in the grading. For courses when you want the students to have done at least some part of the material, it's very useful. Next one. You can also grade discussions. It's a simple way of grading them. You can grade if there has been a minimum number of contributions with the same criteria. You can have an all or nothing, or you can have a percentage depending on the number of contributions up to a top of them. It's not very, very sophisticated, but it lets you add some discussion grading to the course. Next one. We also added an X block that lets you create some content access restriction. One of them is, for example, a password. A password, that's something that the Moodle has and Sakai has, a password that the teacher can give to the students when they are in the classroom at the same time when they are going to start an exam. Other very interesting thing is the IP restriction. So you can restrict the access to an exam to the people that are in from a range of IPs, for example, the range of IPs of the computers in the classroom. And the other thing is, when you have, sometimes you don't want the students to go back in the problems, so you can create an exam that once you have gone from one problem, you cannot go back. And also you can make inside a component, you can make random access to the questions. These are things that we have in the LMS campuses, and with this X block you have access to that thing. Next one. Outside these X blocks, we wanted to modify we wanted to have class groups. We wanted to be able to split the students in one class in different groups that can be maintained in parallel. That's something that we use a lot in the Spanish university. And teams had this capability, but was lacking other capabilities. So eduNEXT expanded the teams with a plugin where they have added a couple of things. One thing is that there is a new type of teams that is created by the teacher but populated by the students. So you can create groups of 5, a set of group of 5, and then the students can come and in and out these groups. The other thing is that now the teams have differentiated access to the content, so you can use the teams to create different content for different teams. And the third thing, I think I am not forgetting anything, is that we have created a new type of instructor that only has access to the grading and to the materials of the groups that is assigned to. Because in Spain, we can split the people in one class in several groups, and each group is managed by a different teacher. And linked to this thing, we added a new feature that you can populate these teams by the language, the standard, the language that is selected by the student in their OpenEdX account. So you can create automatic teams depending on the language, having a default language So if there is a student that has a different language that is not contemplated in the planification, then they get the standard, the default language. So you can have in the same course people with different languages working with different content using this Teams feature. Sigue, Juan. The other thing that we have made is we have improved the communication tools in two ways. One of them is for forums or discussion forums. We now with this plugin, the students can follow any plugin and any contribution you want in the forums, and they get a notification. And the teams of the instructors, they can get notifications for all the contributions in the forums of their courses, and they can configure if they want a mail for each contribution, or if they want a digest, a daily digest, a weekly digest. So you can follow all the contributions in a forum, in all the discussion forums of your course. If you want, you don't need to enter each time. You can get all the notifications. And the other part of the communication is that now with this plugin, you can send an email to a specific student or to a team of students. And when you type the name of the student in the email tool, it proposes you the different student that has this part. For example, if you type Smith, then you will get a list of all the Smiths in the course, and you can select them and send them instead of needing to go and look for them in the. It's something that, for example, I have in Sakai, and that is very, very useful. Go on. And other thing is that there is an open source system that's called on-task learning that lets you, depending on different data, lets you send an automatic email, feedback email to the students. So we have, eduNEXT has created a tutor plugin to integrate on-task inside, and has managed all the transition of the data, all the different activities of the course to on-task, so the teachers can create rules to send these automatic feedback emails. And that's it. It's been very, very quick because we had some very limited time, but I hope that we have given you an overview of all these things that have been developed on top of what has been integrated on the core. The things that you have that has been integrated in the core, you have them also on the core. You can go to the documentation and see what you already have them available. And here in this URL, you have all the documentation of all the extra things that's what we have commented. Anything more, Juan?
No, I just want to have the open invitation for everyone here to continue exploring these components and be part of the conversation. As with every component, they all evolve over time, so it's not a finalized product ever. So your input is very valuable to keep this going, maintaining these components and keep improving them. And I also want to take this opportunity to appreciate how these 5 universities made this important contribution to our community. So not only the monetary value of it, the fact that they invested so many resources in this intellectual property that is open source, which is of course very, very important, but also all the effort that they put, personally, they put into the thing. We as consultants, we worked because it was a contract from us, but the people from these universities worked for 1.5 years into contributing these features into the platform, and that was basically community work, contribution from them, just because they want this platform to continue evolving and improving. So I just want to commend you and all of the universities for that.
Thank you, Juan. We have a couple of questions.
Yes.
One from Alejandro.
Go ahead.
Is hi for the improved grading. Did you add the evaluation of the time that the student has spent as part of the past criteria? No, we didn't. And another question, is this UniDigital project available in the Redwood release? Yes, it is, because the main contributions no, Juan, the main contributions to the core have been added to the Redwood release, and all these plugins and Xblocks work with Redwood, and I think that most of them also with Olive, no?
Yeah, everything is compatible with Redwood, so not everything is included into the release, but everything works with the release. And as Ignacio was saying, a lot of things work also with the previous release.
And Peter has told us, can you estimate how many courses and how many students were part of this project? I don't understand very much the question. You mean how many courses and students we have in our universities, or we are planning to use them, or I don't understand. Can you please elaborate a little bit on the question, Peter?
Okay, in the meantime, let me share another question we got here. So why did the Spanish Ministry of Universities choose Open edX as the right fit for this initiative, right? So why investing in Open edX?
It wasn't decided by the ministry. The ministry gave the universities big funding that we could spend in the 50% in individual projects and 50% in collaborative projects between the universities, and the university decided what to do. We had a lot of different projects, some of them to improve our administrative systems, other for the CompEdu, that is an European initiative of digital literacy, and the Madrid universities and Polytechnic University of Valencia, as users of Open edX, we decided that it was worth to spend part of the money in improving the on-campus capabilities of Open edX, because we think that the interface of Open edX is very good, is better than the on-campus, the learning experience of a course, that the on-campus systems that we have. But on the other side, it hasn't got very good small student managing capabilities, and we try to fit them. So in the future, when we are thinking about changing our LMSs, that is not the case now, because changing an LMS in a university is a very big deal, because people are used to use it. It's integrated with the on-campus system. So we decided to give it a try and to put some money into improving these capabilities. One thing that we decided that was too complex is integrated with the student management systems, because each university has a different one. But in the end, after seeing it afterwards, we could have invested a little bit in improving the APIs, because the only thing that you need is a good course API and a good student API, so you can assign students to courses and create and remove courses from the LMS from your administrative system. If we have more money in the future, this is something that is a good place to invest, because once you develop the APIs, then you can integrate any administrative system with Open edX.
Okay, great, thank you. So
And just regarding Peter's question here, and Peter, correct me if I'm wrong, I think what he's asking is of this initiative within the public universities that UniDigital has been integrated, do you know how many courses and how many learners were impacted as part of the overall project?
In fact, not yet any, because all of this has to be incorporated in our on-campus systems now. For example, in my case, we have a very old release that we are now upgrading, and once we upgrade, we will start using all these things. So it's something that is for the future for all the universities. We have developed it, and now we are starting integrating it, so we are not yet using it.
Okay, and we can follow up with those statistics, and Nacho, once it's rolled out, you can provide those details.
Yes. We will be providing details. But the idea of this is that, and that's why we asked to make this meetup and everything, is that not anymore a thing of the Spanish universities. We have funded it, but now the interesting thing is how many students or how many courses this is gonna impact outside our universities. Also within our universities, but in your universities, in your places, if you think that these X blocks and these plugins are useful, we would like to see an impact, and that's why eduNEXT is making this website, and we are putting all the documentation so anyone can use them easily. For for an electrical engineer university trying to install LMS from on-campus courses, what is the main advantage of OpenEdX compared to, say, Moodle Sakai? For us, the advantage is that the learning experience of the students of one course is much better. You see all the content, all the structuring, how the interface is cleaner, is easier to understand. But on the other hand, when you are managing things that are outside the learning experience, for example, files or tasks or exams, this is what we found that it was difficult to integrate. And we have tried to close the gap a little bit. Probably we are not yet on the complete closeness, but for us, when we use, or our students use the courses that have been prepared with OpenEdX, the learning experience is better. But it's something that is blurring because they are also improving. For example, Moodle is improving their learning experience, but we still think that OpenEdX is.
If I may add something to your response to Sarah, one of the things I would consider as an advantage of incorporating OpenEdX as opposed to an LMS that is specifically designed for on-campus is that you get an edge into the other possibility, which is deploying large-scale online courses of your electrical engineering out into the world with a lot of scaling capabilities, be able to serve a lot of learners simultaneously, and also a much better capability for building complex technical learning experiences, like things with simulators or things like with custom made graded components or things like that. That space is much more interesting and rich in OpenEdX as opposed to the other one.
Thank you, Juan. There's another question by Thomas. Thank you for this contribution. I fully understand the need for these features within the context of a university. I would like to know if you have felt the need to modify the OpenEdX grading system so that each evaluation type can be passed individually instead of only having a full course approval.
No, because in the universities we work usually the exams are tied to the course. What we wanted is to separate the exams from the learning sequence. So you would be able to have an exam component at the top of in the top menu, where you can have exams that are open for the whole course or have a different timing that being inserted in the learning sequence. But we haven't, because everything in OpenEdX and also in Sakai and in Moodle is done around a complete course. So we haven't found this necessity but probably the thing is that it would be very difficult to fit in a platform that is organized around courses.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Nacho, for that. Are there any other questions?
Yes, maybe we have some minutes if someone has any doubt one of the components here. Feel free to write it here. So one comment I have one question for Juan. So how many of these the effort taken here was merged into the master and do we have do we have a percentage of these developments? How many of them went to master and the rest remain as plugins or exports?
I don't actually have a percentage. I would say that perhaps, from the top of my head, maybe close to 50% would have landed in master. One important component that was 25% or so of the total work that we performed was into the aspects, and that 95% of that landed as part of the official platform. So that alone is about 25%. And then in each of the other work packages, we try to pack as much as we could into the master platform, but I haven't quantified it exactly. But one important thing is that whenever we couldn't we couldn't put the whole feature or the whole capability into the platform, what we did was build into the platform the enablers that will allow us to then go and build a plugin for that. And those enablers are super powerful for other things. So take, for example, the case of Turnitin plugin. In order to build a Turnitin plugin, we needed to change the Aura component in a very particular way. But we changed it so that it also allows some other use cases to now be developed via plugins. So those nitty-gritty details of the how the things were implemented are probably very interesting. And if people in the audience or people watching this recording afterwards is willing to know more about it and find out how those enablers can be used for their own custom developments, we'll be happy to be part of those conversations.
Great, thank you. Okay, we have another question here. So from Alejandro, if the UniDigital project already in production? Well, I think Nacho had just mentioned.
No,
it's still not, because they need to run some upgrades to put in production, right?
That's it. As I told before, no university has yet incorporated them. We are now starting to incorporate them, because you have some of us have older versions and others are now working. None of us had the OpenEDX in Kubernetes, so we are working on that in part of the universities.
Right. Okay. So let's see if someone else has any other question. If not, I think we can finish today's session, right? I want to thank Nacho and Juan for the presentation. It was very and for all the effort, and as Juan was saying, many of these were community effort beyond the budget part. So that's very important, and I think it's one of the strengths of the community. Also comment asking about OpenEDX. I think this is a great example how the strengths of the communities enable innovation and many other advances in the platform. So that's great, and it's great to highlight it. So if nobody else has any question or comments, thank you for being here, and hope to see you in the next meetup. It's gonna be 31st of October, right? So stay tuned in the Eventbrite page or in the OpenEDX forums, Slacks, or Discuss. And happy to see you, and thank you everyone for your contributions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks everyone. Take care.